right? This is where we were at as of yesterday. Okay, we have an app.js which has all of our server-based code in it. We have basic auth middleware. We have OAuth middleware. We have our users.js file, which is just giving us the ability to interact with our users, such as user generate token. Those things would be methods or statics. I'm trying to give you words here on your Mongoose models, but they don't have to be. That's what we looked at earlier. Okay, that's a good technique. Good. Okay. That also contains our pre-hook because it's part of our model. So users is a Mongoose schema. That means when we want to make a new user, we say new user. Cool? Everybody following that? Mongoose schema is a blueprint. It's a constructor. And then we just make a new one, make a new one, new one, new one. Okay. All right. So inside of this file, what we're going to do is add a new piece of middleware, right? And it's going to be really easy to get an idea of how this works truly right out of the gate. So we're going to say touch. We'll call this bearer auth middleware. You can call it whatever you want, right? And bearer means I am the bearer of a token. We have already generated a token in sign up and sign in, and we've generated a token in OAuth. Both of those things give us a token. Does that make sense? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we are going to jump into that middleware file. Let me open this up and build out this middleware component. Okay. So we'll say usestrict. Okay, and we're going to pull in our users because we're going to need to do that. So we're going to say const users is equal to require, and we just made a simple users file, call it users.js. Okay, that again has our methods like generate token, authenticate basic. Good. Okay, and we're going to say module.exports. This is a middleware function is equal to a function, right, with request, response, and next because it is middleware. Okay. And then inside of this, all we're going to do is we're going to check first. We'll say if not request.headers.authorization. All right, we need to do a catch real quick and kick out of it. This is what we were having a conversation about earlier. Next, we can say invalid login, invalid login. This is what we had in the demo code from for yesterday, which was a return here. You don't need to return out of that because your next will kick out of this. Does that make sense? It automatically pulls you into your error handling middleware. That I would say that would be a mistake and or a catch, right? We don't necessarily need that. Follow? Okay. All this is a good thing to do too. I think Archmed brought up with stacks and queues edge cases, right? This is an edge case. We're just saying if you didn't have this thing, we have to tell the user you don't have this thing. Those are conditions. Those are edge case conditions. Okay, so we'll say let token. This should make sense right out of the gate. Equal request.headers.authorization. Right now we could do this multiple ways. We could say .split, right, and we could say bearer like this, right, and then we could do the second thing. Okay, that's one. Follow what I'm saying here? Or we could do what we did before, which is .split at an empty space because it says bearer space, okay? And then we could do, so actually when I typed bearer, it would have been like this. You should have, it would be like that, just to be clear, okay? Or we could split an empty space, which is right after bearer or basic. This is more unique. And pop just grabs the last thing in the array, which is index of 1. Makes sense? Same idea. And then we could say users. Now what we need to do is we need to build a method for this. Okay, we need to authenticate token. We don't have this method yet. I want to kind of help you think about this. So we're going to build the method for this in a second. All right. All that we need to do, actually, that's going to return a promise, and then we'll get back some data. So I want you to think about what's going to happen here. Then we'll get back valid user, and then we'll just send back something on the request. So we're preemptively building this out, which is okay because this is easy to look at. We'll say is equal to valid user, and we'll next it. If there's any errors, we'll catch it. We'll just do a quick catch. We'll do error, next, and we can just, error, something basic. All right, so we have not built authenticate token, but I'm going to tell you what authenticate token is going to do. Okay, we're going to build it in just a second. We need to put on our users model some sort of method that will authenticate whenever we are hitting a route that is using bearer auth, meaning we need to check my token. Authenticate token. Make sense? So I want to visit /admin. Do you have a token to do this? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All this is going to do is use jwt.verify. Remember the thing we saw a minute ago? And it's going to verify that our token is the token we expect it to be with our application secret. Cool? Okay. So we will jump over to the next file, which we'll save this real quick. We need to add authenticate token in here. All right, so we'll say users dot authenticate token is going to be equal to a function, right? And let's think about what's going to happen here, right? I want you to kind of think through the main components of this. If we want to authenticate a token and we want to build this out in such a way that we need to check the token through something like JWT, it should probably be like the rest of these things up here, like authenticate basic. Generate token doesn't need to, but this needs to check a token. That's an asynchronous function. Okay? Generate token just makes it. Authenticate token is comparing things. Does that make sense? Just like compare, bcrypt.compare has to compare things. bcrypt.hash actually has to take your password and it has to hash it. I'm trying to get you thinking about the operations here from an asynchronous standpoint. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll say async function. What do you think it's going to get? A token, right, that we can authenticate. I'm going to give you a thing here too. Some of your demo code has that. No. No. That's the way you write it. That's a design decision. That's another area where, like, look, there's probably people in this classroom, maybe them, I don't know, that would argue this, right? I don't know. It depends. But as developers, you come up with your own thoughts on those kind of things, right? If else is a big one too, how you write that. So we're going to say try. Okay, scroll this up a little bit. We're going to try to authenticate our token. We're going to say let token object, check out how easy this is, equal to jwt.verify. That is the method to verify a token. We pass it a token, and it also needs our secret. And our secret is cool secret. So both on our creation of our token, right? That's jwt.sign. That makes a token and signs it with a secret. Now what we're doing is we're giving you a token, and we're also taking the secret. They should match. Does that make sense? If that worked, great, we're done, right? That's pretty much all we need to do. Then we could say if, and we can just resolve this. We can say if db, because that's our database, dot token, and I'm saying dot to get you thinking about what's happening, dot token object dot username, okay? Then we can return a promise. So we'll say promise dot resolve. There you go. Token object. That just gives me back a token object when I do a then block. All right. Else, we need to reject, and we're done. And we should do a catch. Promise dot reject, and then just in case that none of that worked, like token object couldn't get verified for some reason, we'll do a catch. Oh, good call. Catch any sort of errors. There's console dot. Actually, we do this a couple ways, right? You could throw an error. We could also do another reject. It's up to you, right? You can figure that out. This is a way to handle your errors. That's it. That's all. Told you it was quick, right? So let's talk about, and then we'll build a route for it, which is super simple. So the idea here is, if we are using the word in our route, I want you to think about how we're going to build a route. So we're going to say, we're going to do one specifically to be able to get a user's info, right? Because what we're going to do is pass back this token object, right? Think about it like this. Right? If we go to app.get / let's say dashboard / user ID. Okay. Boom, boom, rec, res. right? We're going to say bearer off. Yep. So all we're going to do is we're going to say, all right, well, can I access this dashboard page? Do I have a token to do that? Yep, you got a token. You can do that. That's all that we're building out, right? And we don't have a dashboard page, but I want you to kind of think of it in that format. Ooh, excellent question. So, right, so we've written it in an you're exactly right. We've written an asynchronous function. Should we say let token? Where's my mouse? There you go. Await jwt.verify token secret. Yes, that would be a good thing to do for sure. Otherwise, we just created a basic asynchronous function. Does that make sense? Yep. It would. You know, the interesting thing about this is that even so, we already have the value of the token. You really don't even need it. Which, in terms of the asynchronous piece, that's more about working with the promise structure too. Yeah, I don't know. I think you might be able to do it without too, because it's doing is it's taking it. Now, yeah, it's just comparing. Yeah, it's actually, hold on everyone, it's just comparing. So I don't even know if this needs to be an asynchronous function to begin with. It may not even need to be an asynchronous function to begin with. Let's find out. We'll find out. We should find out, okay? All right, so hold on. Now, let's use this thing so you know what's happening. Oh, and actually, you know what? I said let's find out. Here's what we're not going to do right now. Unfortunately, we're not going to run this because it's gonna break, and I'll tell you why it's gonna break in just a second. And you're gonna be like, please run it. And I'm gonna tell you now, but I'll tell you why. I promise. So hold on, everybody, hold on. Yo. All right, thank you. We'll say /get a user, right? This will have some user details because we said request.user. We'll do bearer auth, which means we need to pull this file in. Follow what I'm saying? Then we'll say rec and res, right? And then in here, all we're going to do is just send back the user. So we'll just say response.status is 200 dot send. And let's do like let's do JSON. JSON, and then we'll say request.user. Okay, now a couple things here. First, we got to plug in bearer auth. So we can say const bearer auth is equal to require bearer auth middleware.js. Okay, now here's what's up. I was like, let's run this and let's go through and set all this up. But before I pushed up our code yesterday, I did something that was smart and stupid at the same time. And I'll tell you exactly what that is. So let me reopen this. And you know, it shouldn't take very long. Maybe we'll do it. We'll see. All right. When I pushed up our code yesterday, I built all of this out in such a way to have you thinking about the things that you needed to have for your environment variables. I was like, this should be an environment variable, this should be an environment variable, this should be an environment variable. I wanted to get your code up online so you could take a look at it. So I wasn't envying anything, right? I was just like, let's get this code online. Because what I know is that when I'm doing something like, not in this file, where's my OAuth middleware? When I'm doing something like this, Google will get mad at me if that's in there. Google will get mad at me if that's in there. Google will not get mad at me if that's in there. I could make this CMV real quick. We can run it. And then HTTP, I moved it from here too because I knew that my client ID was in the front. It won't get mad at me really necessarily with the client ID, but I pulled it out anyway. Does that make sense? Just to be safe. But that's okay. Let's do this. Let's go see if I can get my stuff from GitHub real quick. I'm assuming it's super easy to retrieve that, right? So we'll say github.com. I'm here. I'm going to go to, yo, everyone. Thank you. Yeah, totally. Not yet, no. When I'm done with this, yes. So remind me in a second. Okay, so all I'm doing right now, everyone, Hello. Okay, all I'm doing right now is I'm going into and finding my keys, right? Because I took them out. Bing, there they are. I was like, you know what? I don't have to run this, but it's easy to pull these things. So client ID, that needs to go in a couple places. It goes here, all right? And then we'll jump into OAuth middleware. That needs my client ID. Boom. I need my client secret. Boom. Boom. What's my API server? Is it this? There you go. That's right. Because the other one is my redirect URL. Does that make sense? Okay. I think that's all. Oh, no, I need a couple other things. Let me see what I put, if I put anything in app. I think that's it. I don't think I have any other ENVs in this. Nope, that's it. I got all of them. So all I did here, right, was say, I'm going to push this up without those ENVs, or without those, I shouldn't say without those ENVs, without those secret keys, right, so that they wouldn't show up on the repo. However, if I had pushed all this stuff up with process.env.whatever, right, I would have an env file that lives in my machine already, okay, and I would have ignored that env file already. Those things would have just been there, and they would have never made their way to the repo. Does that make sense in terms of why you have these environment variables? Okay, so we'll jump back over here. We're going to say, when we are going to do node, because I didn't build like a thing for it. Oh, what do we do? Oh, nice. So that says there is no package, or sorry, no node modules folder. There is a package JSON. It'll install those things. Bing. Then we're going to say node app.js. That's going to open up our server. I will go and answer your question here in just a minute. And then we're going to go over here. We have an index file that's being served in a public directory, which means that, and again, I know it's hard to type this, so I'm going to hope for the best. Yeah, that works. Okay. Again, we even logged some stuff yesterday, like the client ID and URL, right? Okay. We're going to click log into my app. That opens up my GitHub page. I messed something up. Does that?
Should we return this? Promise to resolve total.
That's not where this is breaking.
Okay, but here I want my question. Should we return promise to resolve total?
Yes, we should probably return that because it's not going to return a promise. You're saying do this?
And the else, right?
Yeah, the else should probably return it too. Because that's returning a promise with our token object. Yes, you are correct. Okay, but that's not where our issue's at.
That's what was my question.
Sure. Okay. So let's fix our problem. Okay. All right. So means auth app super agent blah blah blah. Man, what happened here? Did I not put a thing? Hold on. I mean, I didn't change anything from yesterday, so I want to see client ID, client secret. That shouldn't be like that.
By the way, you add the console log, you can check what.
Talk about on the server.
You can see
My code, remote token.
We finished this yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was /OAuth too, because that's our redirect, but that's also where our API server is coming from. So let's go back in here. We'll fix that. I think you're right about that. Hold on, I'm just kind of looking around for a second. I'm sorry, base. Ah. I think this is probably in our redirect. We put yesterday. So okay, our API server, which is hold on. Let me look at the GitHub docs. Wait, no, that's right. No, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. This is This is definitely /OAuth because this is where we told it our base URL was at. We told it our base URL was here. We told it that our API URL or redirect URL was here. It needs to redirect back to a page after I've gotten back some sort of code. Does that make sense? That's what's happening here. We put that in GitHub yesterday. I'll show you it. So let's look. We go up here. We go to github.com. Yep, this is what's happening. We go back into our thing. We go into settings. Go into developer settings. We go into OAuth apps. Click My Cool App. We go down here. That's our callback URL, so that's where it goes. Yep. That's how it gives me back. It says when I get some information back, where do I route it to? Does that make sense? And we have a route for that. So let's try this again. No, it should stay there. We needed to update our application to have that. I was thinking, when I saw, what happens here is I was thinking the word API server is my base URL, but API server is actually where this reroutes to, which is /OAuth. And if we go into our app file, we have a /OAuth that runs it through our OAuth middleware. That runs the rest of the handshake. Does that make sense? Okay. So if we go back into our terminal, we're going to kill it. We're going to start it. We're going to go back over here. We're going to go to localhost 3000. This is not part of my page. We're going to go over here. Where's my thing? Mouse. There it is. We're going to click this. That should pull up my GitHub page. Yes. And actually, that's cool. Why didn't it pull up the GitHub page, do you think? I'm already authorized. I've already got this token. I've already gone through the process of setting that up. Oops, sorry, that was this.